Frances Bavier won over fans all over the world with her endearing and hilarious performance of Aunt Bee on the Andy Griffith program, but below her upbeat public image, Bavier was dealing with serious personal issues that would finally result in her demise. What difficulties did she face, and how did she manage to conceal them from the public? Come along as we examine Frances Bavier's life and the internal conflict that led her to commit suicide following the removal of a bodily part. Let's examine her remarkable career before delving into the enigmatic circumstances surrounding her passing childhood. Born on December 14, 1902 in the bustling center of New York City, Frances Elizabeth Bavier was destined for greatness from the start. She was welcomed into a world of potential and promise by her parents, Charles and Mary. They had no idea, though, that her life would take an exciting and unexpected turn. At the beginning, Frances wanted to be a teacher. She enrolled at Columbia University to pursue an education since she was determined to pursue this honorable career and thought it would be her calling. But life had other ideas. As luck would have it, she went to a vaudeville show one evening that would permanently alter the course of her life. She was enthralled by the stage's enchantment from the moment she walked into the theater in a way she had never expected. Something stronger than the need to educate was awoken in her by the artist's electrifying energy, the attraction of the limelight, and the boisterous cheers of the crowd. The allure of the theater intensified as she pursued her education. Her aspirations for a peaceful existence in the classroom gradually gave way to her love of performing. It became hard to resist the theater's allure, and she quickly discovered herself at a pivotal point in her life. She bravely chose to pursue acting full-time rather than going the academic route, forgoing her earlier intentions to impart information in favor of building her own on-stage legacy. Frances's theatrical career officially began when she made her Broadway debut in The Poor Nut. She completely accepted her actual calling there, among the busy New York theaters. It seemed like a dream come true to be on stage in front of enthusiastic fans and beneath the brilliant lights. It was impossible to resist the allure of the glitz, the thrill, and the underlying promise of celebrity. She was drawn farther into the realm of acting with each performance, which was more thrilling than the last. Frances realized that perfecting her skill was crucial to her renewed dedication to acting. She enrolled at the esteemed American Academy of Dramatic Arts because she was determined to achieve and wanted the best instruction possible. She honed her abilities here under the guidance of seasoned pros who would help mold her into the successful actress she was meant to be. It was not an easy task to complete the demanding training procedure. However, Frances accepted it fully, seeing that discipline and commitment were necessary for actual mastery. Frances had a number of parts as her career took off, but World War II was one of the most significant periods in her career. In order to provide entertainment and joy to the valiant American soldiers serving in the Pacific, she joined the United Service Organizations, or USO. It was an act of selflessness, one that gave her the opportunity to encourage and elevate people who were fighting for their freedom. Additionally, it cemented her status as a humanitarian in addition to an actress. Frances Bavier made her film debut in 1931 in the endearing romantic comedy Girls Around Town, which was helmed by the renowned George Cukor. Her involvement gave the ensemble cast a sense of refinement even if her role went unnoticed, demonstrating her indisputable brilliance from the beginning of her career. The fame continued to soar for Frances after that, and her transformation from a young lady who aspired to become a teacher to a well-known actress was proof of the strength of pursuing one's passion regardless of the consequences. As she proceeded, Frances ran into several challenges. However, what particular challenges did she face in her pursuit of success? What personal struggles did she face while becoming well-known? Let's investigate. To fame. Frances didn't become well-known in the acting world until 1951, when she was cast in Robert Wise's groundbreaking science fiction film The Day the Earth Stood Still. This accomplishment was a pivotal moment in her career, launching her into the spotlight and enhancing her standing as a renowned actor. Her first performance on the criminal drama series Racket Squad in 1952 marked her debut in the acting industry. In the years that followed, she made appearances on a number of television programs, including Dragnet, Detective, and City. With the premiere of The Lady Says No in 1952, Frances reached a significant turning point in her cinematic career. She played the role of Auntie Alice in this performance with ability, giving the story depth and charm. Her noteworthy performances in movies like Bend of the River and Stooges that same year further showcased her range and brilliance on screen. She played a key part in the Hugo Fragonese-directed film Man in the Attic the next year, in 1953. She last appeared on Broadway in 1951, playing a significant part in the play Point of No Return. Henry Fonda also starred in this show, which ran for 365 performances. Frances was a well-known figure in the film business in the next 10 years, making memorable performances in a number of films and television series. Frances played the role of Amy Morgan in the sitcom It's a Great Life from 1954 to 1956. With her flawless comic timing and compelling performance, she expertly portrayed Amy Morgan, showcasing her acting range in this part. As viewers watched Amy Morgan and her family's adventures, the sitcom provided them with entertainment and pleasure. The portrayal of Frances added depth and comedy to the program, contributing significantly to its popularity during the course of its 2-year run. She co-starred with Eve Arden in the television series The Eve Arden Show from 1957 to 1958 as Nora Martin. Frances added charm and comedy to her character, which improved the series' overall dynamic. Even with her prior successes in the film industry, Frances had no idea that her most important role, one that would guarantee her place in movie history, was still to come. Getting the position that will change your life. An important turning point for the gifted actress Frances came in 1960 when she was cast as Aunt Bee on The Andy Griffith Show. She gained considerable attention and praise as a result of this chance. However, there were some early hesitancies. Like many actors and actresses, Frances was hesitant to take a part that would change the course of her career. Even though Aunt Bee ended up being a famous figure, Frances wasn't convinced at first. She had the luxury of choosing the parts she played because of her prosperous Hollywood and Broadway careers. She wasn't instantly interested in Aunt Bee's representation, and she thought that early on in the episode, the language lacked reality. Frances, who was up in the busy metropolis of New York, found the idyllic simplicity of Mayberry to be a sharp contrast to her typical metropolitan setting. Her viewpoint started to change though, as she spent more time in the southern area. A trip to the region challenged her prejudices and preconceptions by introducing her to a different way of life. In a 1966 interview, Frances discussed her early misgivings about playing Aunt Bee and how her time in Mayberry eventually altered her perspective. Her portrayal of the adored character gained depth as a result of her path of self-discovery and development. Over time, she developed a profound admiration for Andy Griffith's authentic representation and the innate coziness of Southern living. As she discovered the true spirit of Southern culture, things that had looked strange to her at first eventually started to make sense. Her travel experiences confirmed the veracity of the speech and character depiction, and the show's scriptwriters made sure every character sounded genuine. As Aunt Bee was being created, an unexpected development occurred. Her characterization was not only specified in scripts, but also evolved naturally via Frances's outstanding performance and improvised decisions. A crucial change made just prior to the show's premiere played a significant role in its eventual popularity. During the first rehearsals, Andy Griffith, the show's main character, decided to change Aunt Bee's name from Henry to Bee. This spontaneous choice revealed Andy's deep understanding of the character and his sense of her appeal to the viewer. This change had a significant impact on Aunt Bee's personality despite its seeming inconsequential nature. The name Bee suggested her importance in the series and perfectly captured her kind and caring qualities, evoking the hard-working character of bees in a hive. Because of Frances's genuine and poignant depiction of Aunt Bee, it became difficult to distinguish between the actress and the character, and as a result, Aunt Bee became a revered and enduring figure that viewers continued to love for many years after the show's premiere. Despite her initial reservations, Frances enthusiastically and thoroughly embraced the role of Aunt Bee, making it difficult to imagine someone else playing the role with the same warmth and authenticity. Her financial security was guaranteed by the role's financial success and stability, as well as the substantial payment she received for her services. Her career progressed further as a result of the show's popularity. After appearing on The Andy Griffith Show, she continued to be active in the entertainment industry for a number of years, showcasing her skills and leaving a lasting impression. The Andy Griffith Show, Sheldon Leonard, the producer of the Danny Thomas program, brought in renowned comedy writer Arthur Standard, who had written for several episodes of the program, to create a pilot episode for Griffith. In this first performance, Griffith played the combined roles of newspaper editor and judge of the peace in a tiny village. Griffith, who was well known at the time for his work in radio, movies, and Broadway, was excited about the possibility of entering the television industry. Griffith was suggested to Leonard by the William Morris Agency because of his rural background and prior performances that suited the ideal character. After Leonard and Griffith met in New York City, Griffith left for Los Angeles to start shooting on February 15, 1960. Griffith was introduced as the fictitious Sheriff Andy Taylor of Mayberry, North Carolina, in the ensuing pilot episode Danny Meets Andy Griffith. In the episode, Griffith's character arrests Danny Williams, played by Danny Thomas, for running a stop sign in violation of the traffic law. Later cast members of The Andy Griffith Show, like Frances Bavier and Ron Howard, played a variety of local inhabitants, including Opie Taylor and Henrietta Perkins. In terms of audience numbers, the show was a huge success, constantly placing in the top 10 and never dropping below 7th place in a single year. According to a Nielsen survey conducted during the last season, the show was the most popular among blue-collar workers and ranked third among white-collar workers, behind The Dean Martin Show and Saturday Movies. The Andy Griffith Show's last season made history by being the most viewed television program, surpassing even Seinfeld and I Love Lucy. In 1998, more than 5 million people watched reruns of The Andy Griffith Show on 120 different television stations every day after Seinfeld ended. Griffith played the part of Sheriff Andy Taylor on the CBS television series The Andy Griffith Show starting in September 1960. The sitcom was set in the town of Mayberry, North Carolina, where Taylor, a widower, served as the sheriff and was well liked by the locals. Outside shots were taken in 40 acres in Culver City, California, while the show was produced at Desilu Studios. Don Knotts, who portrayed Deputy Barney Fife, Taylor's close buddy and comic partner, co-starred in the program. At first they were portrayed as cousins, but this tie was eventually dropped. The program also had young actor Ron Howard, then known as Ronnie Howard, who played Sheriff Taylor's only son, Opie Taylor. Griffith was heavily involved in the development of each screenplay, even though he was not officially acknowledged for his literary contributions to the program. Both Frances Bavier and Knott won several Emmy Awards for their humorous abilities. In 1967, Andy Griffith did not get an Emmy Award nomination during the show, despite his critical acclaim. While attending the University of North Carolina, Griffith was accepted into the National Music Fraternity for Men, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, in 1945. August 22, 1949, was the day he married Barbara Bray Edwards. They also adopted 2 kids together, embracing fatherhood. A daughter, Dixie Nan Griffith, and a son, Andy Samuel Griffith Jr., also known as Sam Griffith, were born in 1957. In 1972, the couple made the decision to split up. Greek actress Celia Casuto was Griffith's second wife. They were married from 1973 till 1981. Following their first encounter while she was a cast member of The Lost Colony, Andy later married Cindy Knight on April 12, 1983. The partnership lasted until Griffith's death. Griffith also has 3 grandkids via his daughter Dixie. According to the 2015 book Andy and Dawn, The Making of a Friendship and a Classic American TV Show, Griffith and Annetta Corso had a love connection throughout their 5 years of working together on The Andy Griffith Show. The connection was well known among those who worked on the show's production. Let's now discuss Aunt Bee, a famous pair from the Andy Griffith series. Aunt Bee's involvement. Aunt Bee's culinary skills are well known in the community of Mayberry. She establishes her reputation as a symbol of wholesome home-cooked meals in the pilot episode by serving a plate of fried chicken with a variety of sides. She often prepares meals for church services or community events, and brings picnic baskets of food to the small Mayberry jail for its inmates and law enforcement authorities. Despite being typically talented in the kitchen, Aunt Bee's pickles and marmalade are not well received. Andy and Barney make fun of her pickles by calling them kerosene cucumbers and her marmalade by saying it smells like ammonia. They decide to keep these thoughts to themselves in order to save her feelings. However, Bee's other meals are quite well regarded, and Andy especially likes her cornbread and pork chops. The episodes feature sporadic appearances of Aunt Bee's relatives. She talks about trimming her brother's hair when she was younger. Additionally, her sister Nora pays her a visit in one episode. Bradford J. Taylor, her naughty cousin, also makes an appearance in a colorful episode. Because of her brother's past drinking problems, Aunt Bee is portrayed in one case as a teetotaler who has a deep dislike for alcohol. She is seen playing the piano and making reference to her baptism, demonstrating that she is a Christian. Aunt Bee engages in church singing as a member of the local choir. Aunt Bee undergoes changes during the Andy Griffith Show's final 3 color seasons. She first appears wearing amusingly antiquated home gowns, fruit and flower-adorned caps, and sophisticated white gloves when she leaves the house. Bee starts dressing more stylishly when the show moves into color episodes. She also departs from her conventional duty as a housewife. By opening a restaurant, hosting a cooking show on television, running for office, buying a car, and even taking flying lessons, Aunt Bee leaves the Taylor kitchen. In an effort to demonstrate their skill, Andy and Opie occasionally cook for themselves. This is different from previous seasons when Andy found it difficult to handle culinary responsibilities. Aunt Bee watches Opie grow from 6 to 14 years old. After Andy and Helen Crump get married in the spin-off Mayberry RFD, Aunt Bee chooses to provide the newlyweds a place to live and becomes a housekeeper for farmer Sam Jones and his son Mike. On the farm, she is in charge of taking care of the animals and gathering eggs. After 2 years, Bee leaves the Jones family for unknown reasons, and Sam's cousin Alice Cooper, played by Alice Ghostly, takes over. This set of circumstances marks Aunt Bee's last appearance in the series. Despite the show's success, Frances Bavier and Andy Griffith were at odds behind the scenes. Despite the conflicts on the Andy Griffith Show, Frances Bavier and Andy Griffith had a cordial on-screen partnership. But for many years, their off-screen conflict was a source of fascination and discussion. Their divergent work ethics and communication approaches during production were the root of Andy and Frances's conflict. Andy's relaxed and outgoing personality contrasted with Frances's aloof and rigid manner. During the middle of the 20th century, Andy Griffith and Frances Bavier were well-known personalities on American television thanks to their iconic roles in the beloved series, The Andy Griffith Show. They had a significant influence on popular culture. However, a long-standing disagreement marred their off-screen connection, which ran counter to their smooth on-screen chemistry. The gap between Andy and Frances has long been a source of interest, much like the tense relationship between Selena Gomez and Francia Raisa. Their divergent temperaments and professional disputes were at the heart of the divide, creating a challenging working environment. This conflict seemed to continue during their tenure on the program and into their personal lives, which contributed significantly to the legacy of these TV icons. The show introduced viewers to the quaint fictional town of Mayberry, North Carolina. For 8 years, it captivated viewers with the homey feel of country life and the nuanced humor woven into everyday events. The show's focal point was Andy Griffith's depiction of Sheriff Andy Taylor, a character who embodied moral values in a composed manner, serving as a reassuring presence in Mayberry by fostering harmony by wisdom and compassion rather than violence. Serving as a single parent, Sheriff Taylor skillfully combined poise and charm to handle the duties of child-rearing, law enforcement, and resolving neighborhood disputes. By portraying Sheriff Taylor's maternal aunt, Aunt Bee, Frances Bavier stood next to him and gave the performance a more familial feel. Aunt Bee was known for her constant love and kindness, and she was frequently spotted cooking or giving advice. Her portrayal resonated with the audience, transforming her into an image of the ideal aunt in American households. Together, Andy and Frances's depictions of Sheriff Taylor and Aunt Bee told a story of family life and friendship that many people could relate to. Their different methods of doing their jobs and their interactions with one another while working on The Andy Griffith Show can be linked to the disagreement between Frances Bavier and Andy Griffith. Some saw Frances's tendency to keep a certain amount of personal distance from her co-stars, especially Andy Griffith, as distant. On the set, her demanding nature and strict professional standards occasionally led to difficult circumstances. Because of her steadfast attitude, Howard Morris, who is well known for both directing many episodes and playing the eccentric character Ernest T. Bass, once compared working with Frances like navigating a minefield. Frances, who was quite fussy about her personal space and positioning on set, may respond strongly to even the simplest demands, like moving a few inches for a certain picture. This attention to detail unintentionally added to the stress that pervaded their professional relationship. In an interview on Larry King's show, Andy Griffith mentioned previous attempts at reconciliation with Frances, according to a source that Cheat Sheet quoted. He described a well-intentioned but unplanned visit to Frances that, regrettably, led to conflict. This unexpected intrusion upset Frances, who placed a high value on her privacy, and further strained their relationship. But a crucial event happened a few months before to her passing. As she battled illness and faced a significant health concern, Frances thought back on her previous relationships, particularly her bond with Andy. The years of professional hostility between them were finally broken when she took the initiative to call him. In an open discussion, Frances acknowledged her involvement in the discord, apologized for her difficult conduct to deal with, and expressed regret for the tense nature of their relationship. She also said that Andy was responsible for a sizable amount of the show's popularity, the cost that was incurred. In the end, Frances made the decision to leave the entertainment industry, choosing to resign from her acting career. This choice was a major turning point in her life since it allowed her to give up the demands of show business and live a more peaceful lifestyle. As a result, she was free to shift her focus to other aspects of her life that were not under public observation. By the time she was 70, she had made a major move from one side of the country to the other, relocating to North Carolina in the hopes of finding the same small-town charm that had defined her identity in the eyes of many Americans. The people of Cedar City welcomed her with open arms when she first arrived. After becoming established in the town, she was given a unique place in the community, serving as Grand Marshal in several parades, being honored at a number of civic gatherings and being seen driving her automobile throughout town. She had expected to find a different Mayberry in this new city, but this was not the reality she found herself in. Instead of the peaceful and beautiful scene she had envisioned, she was thrust into a scenario straight out of a Twilight Zone episode. Her inhabitants drew the attention of onlookers who would pause to look through the windows. She would go to the grocery store or eat out to escape her loneliness, only to be constantly harassed by people. As a result of their constant jokes about how much she looked like Aunt Bee, she began to lose her sense of self. Even at the beauty shop, everyone watched her every step. She received constant encouragement to go to church and take part in neighborhood activities. Frances was weakened by the constant strain, and her only haven was her house. As a result, she retreated to her home and favored having things brought to her. She sought help from a mental health expert, since she felt so disconnected from reality as a result of this upsetting scenario. She told the Elmira, New York-based Star-Gazette in 1966, that working as an actor for 40 years while engaged in a fictional world, unavoidably, had a profound effect on a person's mental health. In order to avoid obfuscating the distinction between real life and fictitious characters, the accumulation of such experiences ultimately need the involvement of mental health specialists. It can be especially difficult to switch from being Aunt Bee on television to being oneself off-screen because of the extreme temperamental differences between the two. Television performers inhabit their characters for lengthy periods of time, frequently up to 12 hours a day, in contrast to stage actors who only inhabit their roles for limited periods of time during performances. Even after leaving the set, this extended immersion in a fictional persona may make it impossible to separate oneself from the role. People may find it difficult to distinguish between the actor and the character they are portraying, which can lead to confusion for both the performer and others around them. Despite her professional achievement and degree of renown, her subsequent life was completely different from what anybody could have predicted. In contrast to the comfortable and familiar setting of the fictional Mayberry home she portrayed on television screens across the country, famed actress Frances Bavier, who is best known for her portrayal of the adored housekeeper Aunt Bee on The Andy Griffith Show, led a solitary life in her later years. Even though she played a friendly and hospitable role on television, Frances lived alone in a dingy, dilapidated home where she maintained a 1966 green Studebaker with flat tires in the garage. Frances Bavier died on December 6 at the age of 86 in her roomy two-story home in Siler City, where since 1972 she had called home. According to village residents and Diana Hatch, the communications director for the University of North Carolina Center for Public Television, she was known for preferring to be alone and seldom went outdoors. Diana pointed out that Frances might have amassed a sizable fan base had she been more approachable, but she chose to lead a reclusive existence. As a testament to the admiration her followers had for her work, Frances kept 2 trunks in her house packed with fan mail messages and studio photographs for autographs. Rare leather-bound volumes, exquisite lace pieces, and a large collection of table linens were among her most prized items, which gave her modest home a sense of refinement. The $700,000 inheritance of Frances Bavier was handed to a hospital foundation upon her death, and the public television network was given possession of her residence. Her humble and uncomplicated lifestyle, despite her prominence and reputation in the entertainment world, was highlighted by an appraisal that valued her possessions at $31,000, omitting the classic Studebaker that was last used in 1983. Along with crumbling plaster, old furniture, and shabby carpets, the actress's 14 cats' foul stench indicated that Miss Bavier was neither interested in or capable of keeping up with the upkeep of her home. Her cats used a bathroom stall as their litter box and a room in the basement. The reclusive actress mostly lived in a large rear room that was equipped with a desk, a bed, a television, and an end table that held her bell, black licorice, and reading glasses. The actress's headgear and costumes from the shows, together with a few promotional photos, were the sole traces of her television career. One among her belongings was a blue satin dress that she may have worn to her Emmy Award ceremony. Miss Bavier carefully arranged bits of cloth in boxes with labels inside a bedroom closet, resembling the orderly and practical Aunt Bee from the made-up Mayberry courthouse. The windows had no curtains, and the walls were essentially empty, save for a few plain electric wall clocks, so even with her meticulous planning, the masterpieces constructed from these textiles were invisible in the house. At the courts, Aunt Bee was well known for her mouth-watering box lunches, but there was only one cookbook in Miss Frances's 1950-style yellow and green kitchen. She was hospitalized to Chatham Hospital on November 22, 1989, and stayed in the coronary care unit for 2 weeks. 10 days before her 87th birthday, on December 4, 1989, she was finally freed. She unfortunately passed away at 7 p.m., just 2 days after departing the hospital, on December 6, 1989. Congestive heart failure, myocardial infarction, coronary artery disease, and atherosclerosis were shown to be the main causes of her death. Arthritis, COPD, and breast cancer were further contributing factors. In addition to Miss Frances's name, her monument honors her favorite figure, Aunt Bee, at Oakwood Cemetery in Siler City, where she is laid to rest. To live in the hearts of those left behind is not to die, says the inscription on the headstone. Please click the next video that appears on your screen, like and subscribe if you liked this one.